House will paint opponents as weak-kneed liberals who do not understand and cannot stand up to the threat of terrorism. The bill is not a compromise. The final details are being worked out, but all the indications are that many of its provisions are both unnecessary and a threat to the Bill of Rights. The White House and the congressional Republicans who support the bill have two real aims. They want to undermine the power of the courts to review the legality of the domestic spying programs. And they want to give a legal shield to the telecommunications companies that broke the law by helping Mr. Bush carry out his warrantless wiretapping operation. The Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act requires the government to get a warrant to intercept communications between anyone in this country and anyone outside it. The 1978 law created a special court that has approved all but a handful of the government's many thousands of warrant requests. Still, on September 11, 2001, Mr. Bush bypassed the FISA court and authorized the interception of international calls and email messages without a warrant. Then, when the Times disclosed the operation in late 2005, Mr. Bush claimed that FISA did not allow the United States to act quickly enough to stop terrorists. That was nonsense. FISA always gave the government the power to start listening and then get a warrant, a grace period that has been extended since September 11th. More fundamental, Mr. Bush's powers do not supersede laws passed by Congress or the Constitution's protections against unreasonable searches and seizures. The ensuing debate did turn up the internet age a problem with FISA. It requires a warrant to eavesdrop on foreign communications that go through American computers. There was an easy fix, but when Congress made it last year, the White House muscled in amendments that seriously diluted the court's ability to restrain the government from spying on its own citizens. That law expires on August 3rd, and Mr. Bush is demanding even more power to spy. He also wants immunity for the telecommunications companies that provided the government with America's private data without a warrant after September 11th. Lawsuits against those companies are the best hope of finding out the extent of Mr. Bush's lawless spying. The Democratic leaders in Congress are reported to have agreed to a phony compromise crafted by one of our Republican colleagues, the vice chairman of the committee. Under the so-called compromise, the question of immunity would be decided by a federal district court, a concession by Mr. Bond, our colleague from Missouri, who originally wanted the FISA court, which meets in secret and is unsuited to the task to decide. What is unacceptable, though, is that the district court would be instructed to decide based solely on whether Mr. Bush, the Bush administration, certifies that the companies were told the spying was legal. If the aim is to allow the court hearing on the president's spying, the lawsuits should be allowed to proceed, and the courts should be able to resolve them the way they resolve every other case. Republicans who complain about judges making laws from the bench should not be making judicial decisions from Capitol Hill. This week, the House and Senate leaders were trying to allay the concerns of some lawmakers that approving the immunity would be tantamount to retroactively declaring the spying operation to have been legal. Those lawmakers are right. Granting the corporation's immunity would send the exact message. The new bill has other problems. It gives the government too much leeway to acquire communications in the United States without individual warrants or even a showing of probable cause. It greatly reduces judicial review, and it would remain in force for 6 years, which is way too long. If Congress cannot pass a clean bill that fixes the one real problem with FISA, it should simply extend the temporary authorization. And at a minimum, it talks about what other steps can be taken here. Mr. President, again, there are several other articles that I want to share with colleagues, but let me also say to my colleagues, we are in a post-cloture environment here on the housing bill. We'll be in cloture until tomorrow evening on the 30 hours required under the housing bill, unless some intervening action is taken. I know that we're supposed to consider voting on cloture on this bill sometime tomorrow morning. I'm going to use whatever vehicles available to me. And while I'm upset that we're not dealing with a housing bill, I believe that is a priority that Americans expect something to be done on. You have 8,400 people filing for foreclosure every day in this country. It's a massive economic issue that is crippling the livelihood and the future wealth and security of too many American families. I will object to any unanimous request to go to the FISA bill.